Alright, what's up guys? In today's video, we're going to talk about the M91 LMG in Call of Duty Modern Warfare. In today's video, we're going to be doing a very simple video. We're basically just going to be breaking down the weapon. I'm going to be telling you guys what are some of the best attachments, as far as what are some of the worst attachments, and basically breaking down the attachments and what benefits they give and what benefits they don't give, because there's a lot of attachments that claim they do things which they don't actually. More and so on this gun in specific, the attachments negatives don't even get noticed. So this is a very good LMG. You guys know I've uploaded a PKM class setup twice. I'm a big fan of LMGs. I love ground war. I love guns that have very high damage and long range because I play ground war a lot. So we're going to be showcasing the best class setup for the M91. This gun out of the box, no attachments, is really, really good. The one thing I did notice when testing a lot of these attachments is, like I said, the negatives were not even noticed at all. There's one big negative about this gun is the ADS speed is not the best of the best. No matter what I try to do to make the gun faster, there was not much I could do at all to make the gun faster as far as aiming down sight, sprinting down sight, any of that kind of stuff. The mobility is not the best, but if you're playing a big map, the farm map, something, you know, a little bit bigger, this is an amazing gun for that. So basically the only thing I want to talk about is the difference in what attachments are recommended best, because I've done a bunch of testing. The biggest thing on this gun is there's three main attachments you want to be running. Obviously I state in almost every single video I run no stock if the gun allows it, and the stippled grip tape, just because the aim down sight speed in this game is really slow in my opinion, or it feels slow. So I run those two together on everything. In specific, on an LMG, is going to increase your movement speed. What the no stock claims is it makes your recoil control worse with your aiming stability worse. The aiming stability, which is your first shot accuracy, you'll notice a little bit as far as the recoil control. I'll show a little screenshot right now on the screen. You can see there's literally absolutely no change from the going no attachments to adding no stock. The recoil is exactly the same pattern almost. Then with the stipple grip tape, you're going to get a little bit worse of aiming stability. So you have two negatives on aiming stability so far, but a pretty big increase in your movement speed and your ADS speed. Now, the one thing that's noticed most about LMGs is they have a really good aiming stability, which is basically when you're sitting still, your gun will sway, your idle sway. LMGs have a good one, so getting two negatives there, you're gonna have to try and counter that a little bit. So what I did is run a bunch of tests on a bunch of the grips to determine which one was the best. I want to start off by saying the rear grip, which is the rubberized grip tape. You guys have probably seen a bunch of my videos. This is the worst attachment in my personal experience in all of Modern Warfare. Actually, in my testing with this, I believe this had maybe a little bit worse recoil than with no attachment. So it claims it increases your recoil control. It gives it a big boost in the stats in the game screen, but when testing it, it actually made it worse. So I don't know if this is a glitch in the game. It's something they plan on fixing, but they definitely need to take a look at it. So number one thing I recommend is not using the rubberized grip tape ever. The thing I noticed most is the compensator gave the best overall reduction in recoil. Most of the testing you guys will see if I post any screenshots is with 30 rounds. Anytime you're going to be killing people, it's going to be shooting, you know, between 15 and 30, maybe 40 rounds. Not going to be unloading 100 rounds. So the compensator gave me the best overall reduction in recoil, which, like I said, is probably the most underrated attachment. The second most I noticed was with the Ranger foregrip. So the difference between the Ranger foregrip and the compensator is the Ranger foregrip is going to give you a buff in recoil control as well as aiming stability. So if your aiming stability is something that matters to you, I would recommend the Ranger over the compensator. But I did notice the compensator alone versus the Ranger alone as an attachment, the compensator had a little bit less recoil. So I definitely would recommend that as the number one attachment to add to help with the recoil of this gun. Obviously, if you're trying to reduce the recoil, the best attachment to counter that is going to be the Commando foregrip, because it does everything else that the compensator does not. It helps your left to right kick as well as your aiming stability. So the aiming stability is going to be a little bit better. All these attachments basically counter each out a lot on this gun, so it's kind of, you know, not a very, you know, best gun to be using. But in my experience using it, the first game I played with, I went 50-8. You guys will see the gameplay you guys are watching on the screen is the first time I ever used this gun. So the stats, all the attachments I noticed in this gun in specific do lie a lot. This is a very, very good gun, and is extremely overpowered in my opinion as far as getting those long range kills. I couldn't tell how many times I killed someone across the entire map in 3 or 4 bullets. And the last part is going to be basically talking about the barrels. This has two different barrels, the special forces, the infantry, as well as the heavy. The heavy is basically the special forces, but a little bit bigger. It's supposed to increase your range a little bit, which I did like it a lot. the negatives, it does come with a worse ADS speed and a worse movement speed. Obviously, in LMG, your movement speed is going to be a little bit worse. That's why I always run no stock. So I'd recommend running the heavy without the commando, because without the commando, you're going to get a worse movement speed with the commando and the heavy. So your movement speed is going to be literally horrible. But I did notice with the heavy, it claims to get an increase in your recoil control. I did notice it was more recoil stabilization. So there was less kick left to right versus less kick vertically. So it does actually get an increase across all three of the categories it claims to be a pro of. So I highly recommend it. This is probably the first gun I've recommended all three barrels on. The infantry, definitely something I noticed a lot. The recoil pattern is literally exactly the same as with no attachments. There is absolutely no notice at all left to right or even vertically. Like I said, one of the main things with this gun is a lot of the negatives you don't even notice at all. So then the special forces basically has a little bit less range, a little bit less recoil of an increase, and no movement speed. So it's, you know, pretty good. Like I said, I recommend the heavy. The movement speed is not that big noticeable, especially if you're playing ground war. You're getting a lot of cross map kills. You're not going to be trying to move across the map as fast as possible. So after testing all these weapons, like I said, I recommend every single barrel. They're all excellent. They're all amazing. They all do things better than what they're telling you. The grips are basically three things. I only recommend the compensator, the commando, and the ranger. Those are the only three you should be using. As far as adding two together, using the compensator and the ranger, which is supposed to reduce your recoil ×2, not even noticeable. So I only recommend running them separate of each other. So using like the muzzle brake with the ranger or using the compensator with the commando, two things that are going to do all three things of the recoil reduction. So the best class setup is very simple. Like I said, the compensator I recommend most with the no stock attachment with the stippled grip, and then the heavy barrel. And then I do recommend running the ranger, because the heavy barrel, you're going to have less movement speed. With the commando foregrip, you're going to have less movement speed. So you're going to be a bit slower running both of them together. So I recommend running the compensator with the ranger. Then if you're trying to make it a little bit faster, playing a little bit of a smaller map, I would recommend running the infantry with the compensator, with the commando, the no stock, and the stipple grip. I'll showcase the class up on screen here, but these are the 5 attachments I recommend. 2 very simple class setups. Like I said, a very simple gun. Doesn't have any crazy attachments or any of that kind of stuff, but it's a very good gun out of the box. These attachments are going to make it a lot better. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. Just more of a bit of a breakdown. Not really too much in depth, because this is a very simple gun. Just one thing I noticed after using it is testing the weapons with the attachments. Is they're very good attachments on this gun, probably the best I've tested so far as the attachments significantly improve this gun a lot. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. If you guys did, make sure you guys drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.